when people say, oh, the difficulty of making a movie. I'm like, send your son to Iraq. That's difficult. It's just a movie. It's like, relax.
It's that impact. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Get out of here.
You have been the light of the day. You are such a gift.
You brought such light into the room. Thank you very much
We appreciate
for coming
you.
into this room today.
I don't play that precious nonsense. Oh, we're moving over.
I've seen this week people are taking the lyrics of Defying Gravity and really holding space with that.
This film means so much to me, and there are so many millions of kids like me who find refuge in The Witches. And I just want to let you know, I mean, I'm a nobody, but you did it. You did it.
We love you.
Well,
You know, your son got shot in the face. That's difficult.
I didn't know that that was happening. That's really powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't know that was happening.
Don't get it twisted. It's just a movie. It ain't that big a deal.
I am in queer media, so
Yeah.
So what did you have for lunch on set filming Wicked?
wow.
I just know what it's like to feel like you don't fit. Like you are just like outside of the ordinary, like there's no room for you.
Because this is something that is so overwhelming for women to always look perfect. How do you deal with that?
my goodness. Yeah.
I'm not gonna. It's okay. It's okay.
It's just a good question.
Really good question.
Making a movie is a luxury. It's a gift. It's an opportunity, and most importantly, it's a gift.
So good.
Thank you.
I'm so proud
Thank
of
you
you.
for your thoughtfulness.
I'm really
Of
proud of
course.
you.
You are
for doing
beautiful.
that,
Thank you so much.
babe. Well done.
Once upon a time, far away and long ago, there lived a beautiful young man. This young man was so beautiful, so exquisite, that half the people in ancient Greece fell madly and passionately in love with him. He had many suitors, men and women, nymphs and mortals, but he scorned them all, leaving a trail of broken hearts in his wake. There was even one nymph, Echo, who wasted away pining for him, becoming a shadow of who she had once been, her body fading until she was nothing more than a faint voice on the air. Still, the beautiful young man was unmoved. There was no one he cared for, no one whose affection he would return. Now this young man, who was called Narcissus, was the subject of a prophecy. It said that Narcissus would live to old age so long as he never saw himself. Of course, this is a Greek myth, and because Greek myths are more cautionary tales than they are Disney movies, the tragedy is inevitable. One day, as Narcissus was hunting, he passed by a pool of water and leaned down to have a drink. And there, looking back at him from the clear pool, was the most beautiful, breathtaking, exquisite young man he had ever seen. And Narcissus, just like everyone else who had looked at his face, fell madly and passionately in love. He tried to speak to the golden-haired, milk-skinned creature in the pool, but to no avail. Narcissus begged, pleaded, even reached out to try and touch his beloved, but his hands passed through only water. Narcissus lost all other joys in life and sat only by his reflection, staring at it, day after day, refusing food and water and sleep. He did nothing but look at himself. Over the weeks and months he began to waste away, until eventually all that was left where he had once been was a cluster of white gold flowers that became known as Narcissus flowers. As most of you all know, the tale of Narcissus is where we get the term narcissist from, meaning someone so self-obsessed, someone who cares about and admires themselves above all others so much that it becomes pathologically destructive to themselves and the people around them. It is a cautionary tale of what happens when we make ourselves the center of the universe and spend too much time thinking about ourselves, when we become obsessed with our image. And is there a type of person more prone to this fatal downfall than the celebrity, or the social media influencer, or, alas, the YouTuber, where the whole environment you have around yourself reinforces and even relies on self-obsession, where, like tragic Narcissus, you might have adoring fans hanging on your every word, proclaiming how amazing and beautiful and wonderful and better than everyone you are, until you start to believe it and find that, really, the only person worth obsessing over is you. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm Galatea, and this is Acis, my dearly departed. And today we're going to be talking about how staring at your own reflection, whether that be literally or metaphorically, makes you lose yourself and go insane. To quote Jane Austen, vanity and pride are different things, though the words often used synonymously. A person may be proud without being vain. Pride relates more to our opinion of ourselves, vanity to what we would have others think of us. And who would be more prone to vanity than those in the public eye? Those for whom the opinions and adoration of the public are necessary for their very careers. Hi, I'm really sorry. I had a microphone disaster halfway through this video, so the sound is not going to be that good for a big chunk of this middle bit. It does come back on the microphone towards the end of the video, but I apologise, there is now going to be a dip in sound quality. But I hope you stay around and watch it, and enjoy the video, and give it a like and subscribe if you like. It will come back on, but unfortunately we had technical difficulties. When you're hyper-conscious that you're being observed, does it destroy your ability to view yourself clearly in a healthy way? Would you always see yourself through the lens of, how am I coming across to the public? What would they think of me? What persona am I presenting? How do I look? Would they think I'm beautiful, or stylish, or talented, or compassionate, or wise, or special? Now, this is likely a feeling familiar to everyone. We can all feel somewhat like this. But with celebrity, are those feelings magnified? What does it do to your psychology to be hyper-aware that you are being watched? Would you, perhaps, begin to perform, to obsess over your image and not know where public perception ends and you begin? Now, I started thinking about this video topic because several things happened. I have some sympathy for this position. Now, just to be very, very clear, I am no means calling myself a celebrity or well-known in any sense. But I am regularly observed by thousands of people on the internet. I also have to stare at myself for hours while I edit these videos. And this is what got me thinking about this topic of the story of Narcissus kept coming into my head, just because I thought about, well, what does it actually do to someone to stare at yourself, to stare at your own reflection? And I was thinking, and because in a very literal way, I was being observed by a lot of people, and I was literally staring at myself for hours as I edit my videos, and I noticed something started to happen. I kind of realised that actually, unlike the literal kind of analysis of the story of Narcissus, I found, at least for me, I didn't so much fall in love with myself as I did start to become insecure about things that I had never been insecure about before. I started to hyper-focus and hyper-fixate on my face, and started to see things about it that I became then really insecure about, that I hadn't been insecure about before, I hadn't even noticed before, and other parts of my face that, and again, this all sounds very shallow and frivolous, I know, this is kind of the point, but it does something to you to stare at your own face, but while you're staring at your own face, you're also aware that loads of other people, thousands of other people, tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of other people are also going to be staring at your face, at the very image that you yourself are looking at, and it does something funny to you. And while I know that no one else is gonna obsess or care as much or be as hyper-focused on my face as I am, it starts to do something to your mind, and I started to become more hyper-aware of how I looked, or okay, I don't my face makes a funny expression when I do that, or oh god, do I really look like that? To compare it to, probably most people have had the experience, I mean, people might have had that to some extent, you know, with photographs and stuff, but I'd say, I mean, I'm used to this now just because I hear back my recordings all the time, but you know how you hate the sound of your own voice when you hear it back on a recording? You're like, oh my god, do I really sound like that? That sounds so annoying. It's kind of like that, but with your face. You're like, oh my god, is that how I really look? Oh no, you know, all of these things. But then I realised that this is not just I didn't think it was, but it's not just a me-specific thing. I was talking a little while ago to another YouTuber, and he was also saying something happens when you edit your own videos and you stare at your face. He had a similar experience where you become aware of things that you were never bothered about or insecure about. You just, things about your face that are perfectly fine, but you just start, when you spend enough time looking at yourself, you start to, it becomes a weird thing. And I found that interesting because it's not either just a female specific thing or just something that I think women could probably be more sensitive to that in a lot of ways, but yeah, I feel like it probably affects everyone. So that's on a very literal level. But I really think this is why influencers and content creators can get obsessive about getting loads of Botox and fillers and makeup, and probably to a larger degree, they seem to get obsessed with that to a larger degree than the general population, which seems obvious, but I think that probably comes from I think they no longer look at their face and consider their own opinions so much anymore. You look at yourself instead and think, what are hundreds of thousands of people going to think when they look at my face? Oh my god, they're going to hate my chin. They'll definitely notice that my eyes are too far apart, or my nose is weird, or they'll see the non-existent wrinkles by my eyes, you know, and you stare at yourself and you stare at yourself and you go crazy. So yeah, we could make this a discussion about Instagram culture, social media face, constant Botox, how everyone on Love Island looks the same and also a lot older than they really are because of the constant work they're getting. All interesting and important topics, but I'm gonna stray outside of that and talk about vanity more generally, because I was thinking about that and the very literal aspect of vanity, or staring at yourself in a very literal way. I was like, I'm literally looking into a mirror all the time for work, for hours and hours. So there's that kind of very literal level. I thought that similar thing can be broadened out into other things, like your personality or things like that. So yeah, so I think the common theme there with the narcissus myth isn't necessarily that when you stare at your own face, you fall in love with yourself, maybe some do, but that you can start to become obsessed or self-obsessed. That's like, the more you stare, how actually unhealthy and damaging having to constantly look at yourself is. I'm sorry, I think I got a little confused there. What I was trying to say is that the narcissus story, rather than seeing it, and if we take it into general, like people's behaviours, I think rather than seeing it as someone falling in love with themselves, as in thinking they're perfect, they are falling in obsession with themselves. So that can include like bouts of thinking they're perfect and amazing and the most beautiful thing ever, but also like it can swing in the other way, that they get super critical and obsess over that. But either way, it's still the self-obsession that Narcissus showed. You cannot tear yourself away from the reflection, whether that be literally your face or the whole image, your greater image and branding of who you are, or your personality or your performance, or whatever it is. Self-obsession, which does not necessarily translate to unquestioning self-devotion, though it can. That's the kind of what I'm trying to get at. It's self-obsession, not self-love, not true self-love. And like I said, I thought how that must relate wider to personality, to how it nurtures self-consciousness as you become aware how many people are watching you. So that's the thing. It's not just that you're staring at your face. It's that you're staring at your face, like I'm editing and thinking, oh my god, loads of people are going to see this and they're going to hate my hairline. I've got a weird hairline. I actually do have a weird hairline. It like grows in two little lines from my forehead. Anyway, I've had that since I was a kid. Or a weird forehead. You become way more self-conscious as you become conscious of the fact that how many people are watching you. Yeah, and then I was thinking about kind of celebrity in general. And again, I'm not saying that I'm a celebrity by any means, but just that thing of being observed or constantly seeing yourself. I thought that was interesting to explore. And that, with that whole thing, like, who wouldn't be self-conscious really when you start thinking of that? I think most people. Some people maybe not, but I think that's an outlier if you wouldn't become self-conscious. But I think that's the thing, you start to get a warped view of yourself, kind of, and that's, again, this why the kind of narcissus myth was running through my head at the same time as I was thinking of all these things. There was kind of the inception point to this idea in this video, because you kind of get a warped reflection back, like, or you don't quite know how to see yourself clearly anymore. You don't see yourself accurately. You start to second guess how others will see you rather than how you see you. You kind of don't really know how you yourself maybe feel about it anymore. You start to see everything wrong with your appearance. Things that other people probably don't even notice, or the odd person will. But then you try to present an image to iron out, all flaws. And I think the knowledge of being observed while being afraid that people will notice all your flaws, you notice because you look at yourself, I think that can drive you crazy. And to be crystal clear, just before we start, because I know that that's probably going to create some confusion, I am not accusing or trying to diagnose anyone in this video with narcissism in the official sense. I literally just started this idea off with quite literally the Greek myth. That was the starting point, was I was interested in how that relates to kind of a lot of the celebrity stuff going on now. So that's different to like official narcissism. They just happen to share the same origin point of the myth. But yeah, I'm not talking about narcissism like the official diagnosis or whatever. I'm just talking about Narcissus the character and parallels with that. So parallels drawn with Narcissus the character is not me calling anyone a narcissist. If they've got things in common with him, that's their issue. No, but I just think the narcissus myth is a very good symbolic tale of how becoming obsessed with your own projected image can make you lose yourself. Like he did in the end, he lost who he was. Literally distilled down to just something pretty to look at. That's all he became in the end. He lost his humanity, he lost what made him him, what made him a person. He became a pretty flower. He died, he's gone. He's just reflection. It's frivolous, meaningless, nothing to it. I just like the symbolic tail there. And I think that's true. Becoming obsessed with your own projected image, because it's a projected image, can make you lose yourself. And there's never been a clearer example of insane performative emotion purely for the benefit of the public than the Wicked press tour. I'm sorry, but no amount of people going on about how theatre kids are just emotional and singing means so much to them will convince me that this isn't just excessive vanity. And no, I'm not just talking about the fact that Cynthia Erivo insists on wearing silly, pretentious hats. Being obsessed with yourself, having your image constantly projected back at you in the metaphorical mirror of celebrity and having to stare at it and consider how to project that image, actually seems to drive some people insane.
When I'm watching it and when I'm living it.
Ooh, don't look at me like that.
Oh my gosh.
This film means so much to me, and there are so many millions of kids like me who find refuge in the witches. I mean, I'm a nobody, but you did it.
We love you.
And I thank you. I was thinking I'm gonna...
You have been the light of the day. You are
truly-
such a gift.
You brought such light into the room. Thank you very much
We
for
appreciate
coming
you.
into this room today.
Please, don't leave me alone with them. I don't know what kind of sacrifice they would perform on me, but I know it would be painful. They are creepy cult children of the corn. They are horror movie twins. They are terrifying. They have been body snatched, brainwashed, and I am afraid.
You are
Truly,
such a gift.
You brought such light into the room. Thank you very much.
I'm scared. This is not cute or authentic or genuine or moving or real. It's empty inside, smile but nothing in the eyes, actress version of Stepford Wives. This is what it looks like when two people are drunk on their own self-importance to a ridiculous degree. To be clear, I'm not freaked out because they're saying nice things to the interviewer. I'm freaked out because they don't mean it. Because it's superficial nonsense. Of course they don't mean it. It's a performance to portray a certain image of themselves. Probably subconsciously. I don't know if they believe that they're performing, but they're performing. Maybe a subconscious performance, but a performance nonetheless. It's just a performance I think they actually believe.
To make things worse, the culture in modern Hollywood is overly preoccupied by press and publicity. Gone are the days when actors simply surface to promote movies, and in between projects went back to their humdrum lives. This means that the actors are more concerned with how things appear, rather than actually working for the good of others. In this utterly superficial culture, virtue signaling is the easiest way to stay with the in crowd. These actors could be at soup kitchens, helping the homeless, working with foster programs to help children, or visiting centers that help people overcome addiction. All real issues facing the people of America. But no, that isn't nearly as glamorous, not to mention easy, as telling an entertainment reporter while dressed in custom couture how terribly victimized you are.
Now that's a really good point and gets at exactly what I mean. They don't really care about the people they're talking to, but they are excessively virtue signaling that they do.
And you're beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Oh my God, girls, like you're the most beautiful girls in the room. So
But not not just
thank you so
this,
much.
but here we can
Yeah.
see that.
People who are overly gushy like this to someone they know zero things about and have just met cannot be trusted because the emotion is not organic. People might be going, accuse me of being cynical. How do you know the emotion's not organic? I know that it's not organic very simply. Do you know how because they don't know the interviewer. They have just met someone 20 seconds ago, 2 minutes ago, and they're full of like all this gushy rubbish. It's not real. It can't be when they know nothing about the character of the person sitting in front of them. Someone they didn't even know existed until 2 seconds ago. And that is why we find it creepy. Because we're watching someone display excessive emotion that we know deep down is not real. And that's freaky when someone does that. And can do that. Ugh. Ooh. What's that? I feel like it probably gets all our instinctive, like, defensive things will get you back up because you're like, oh, hang on, wait, I know this isn't genuine. You know on some level it's not genuine because it can't be. You know it's false. It just reeks of inauthenticity. So you're like, oh, what do they want? What do they want from me? I can't trust this person. Are they trying to get something from me? Are they trying to con me? Are they faking something to attack me? Like, I think it gets all your instincts going because you're like, you know it's not true. So you're like, what's their ulterior motives? And I know some of you felt bad. I know some of you felt bad when you had that instinctive reaction and went, oh my God, those two are really creepy. And then you kind of talked yourself out of it and felt bad and were like, oh no, I'm just so cynical. They're only being nice. Your instincts are correct. They don't know the person they are talking to. They can't possibly mean what they are saying. It's LA, fluffy, nothing speak. And your creep detector instincts are spot on.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having us. Oh,
This is the best day of my life.
this is such an opportunity.
What an honor to be here with you.
Oh my
And
gosh,
you.
I love you.
And you.
And we know this, that's why there's so many parody videos of the ridiculous behaviour of two women in their 30s. I know some of you didn't think they were that old. I just found out that Cynthia Erivo is 38 and almost screamed she should not be behaving like that at her age. She looks good. She looks really good. But let's act the age we are, not the age we look. They're prancing around like they're from the Capitol in the Hunger Games, holding hands excessively all over each other. You will not convince me that this isn't just vanity. And I think the other horrifying element to this that rings off alarm bells that makes us doubt them is the fact that they're so in tandem with each other, but creepily in tandem, like horror movie twins, performatively in tandem. It's like they're feeding off competing with each other's empathy. Like when Cynthia, okay, there was a moment where Ariana like tells people in the room to like be quiet because they're having an interview, and Cynthia like has to immediately like do it. I'll show you the clip. Like speak at the same time as her. Like they're acting like their brains are melded together.
And I'm a French content creator, well, French journalist. Yeah.
Guys,
so sorry.
please.
Sorry, we want to let Sally. Sorry.
Do any of you remember those twins that so very clearly didn't finish each other's sentences, but at 30 tried to convince everyone and themselves that they did, and they were like performing the fact that their identities were so enmeshed because they like wanted to finish each other's sentences? Remember how cringy that was? I think they were reincarnated as Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo.
They're 32 and they've hardly ever been apart.
Is it difficult for you to operate normally when you're apart?
Yeah, like it is, like because you don't think properly and we're not ourselves. We're just completely different. Yeah, down. We're not as bubbly or...
And good question.
Really good question.
And look, I know some people are gonna say, because I've seen this in the comments, which I can only assume these are 12-year-old girls saying this because, you know, that's fine, that's how they behave and they don't know anything. For my hope of humanity, I hope it's only 12-year-old girls saying that, but be in the comments being like, it's just friendship, it's just deep female bonds, this is what deep female friendship looks like. Okay, no, it doesn't. This is not what close female friendships look like, and you can't use they're theatre kids. It is in the theatre. This is just how friendships are in the theatre card. Again, you can't keep using that. Being interested in theatre does not fundamentally change how human relationships operate. I have many female friends. And I also have sisters, and I don't hold their fingers and stroke their faces every time they talk.
They're 32 and they've hardly ever been apart.
I mean, bloody hell, this isn't even what relationships look like. Ariana touches Cynthia more than she touches Ethan, her boyfriend. That's weird. I'm just gonna say that's odd. This is not how women in their 30s behave with each other. If you're 12, yeah, fine. This is not, I promise you, this is not even how women in their 20s behave with each other, okay? So when I say they're drunk on their own self-importance, what do I mean by that? The emotions they are performing, be they extremely positive or excessive crying, I think are not real and are only there to puff up their egos to convince themselves they're doing something more important than they actually are. Baggage Claim made that point in her video that I referenced earlier, and it's a good one. They're not actually changing the world in a fundamental way, so are they convincing themselves that by starring in Wicked, they've single-handedly solved bullying and racism and no one will ever be lonely again? And look, I believe art is important, okay? Like, I think it impacts culture and society and can make life worth living. I think it's so important. But let's stay grounded. You haven't saved the world by producing a movie. It's undeserved self-importance. Because let's be real, Narcissus was not an important person. There was nothing noble or heroic or world-changing about who he was or what he did. It was merely a pretty illusion that even he himself started to believe, until he believed he was the centre of the universe and wasted his life thinking his reflection was important and worthy of that. And it wasn't. And that's what I get. That's the vibe I get from these two during their press tour. You've made, not even made, just you've starred in. You starred in a movie. A good movie from what I hear, but not half as important as they're making it out to be. And have you noticed how most of the interviews that they give seem to reaffirm how important and powerful and emotionally affected the pair of them are as people? How empathetic, how compassionate, how they have paved the way for those with differences to shine. Never mind that this story would exist without them, because this story and production was someone else's idea. I'm not saying that I don't know, it's not my thing, I haven't seen it, I don't care. I've heard that they were really good in the role, that they both shone in the role. That's great, so they're clearly very talented. They've not made any great social change or like paved the way for anything. They really haven't. I just find it all so self-involved and superficial. This shouldn't be all about them and their emotions. Yes, that's part of it. That is definitely part of it, and you can mention that and talk about that in interviews, but the way it's become the main thing, the main focus is them and their emotions and these two actresses. The press tour is not supposed to be about celebrating you. The press tour is not celebrating you. Their performances are a surface-level image like Narcissus' reflection that they themselves appear to have fallen in love with, yet there's nothing of substance beneath. I mean, there is a possibility that this was a weird press campaign to get people talking about how weird they are to promote the movie. Maybe, but either way, it's inauthentic.
I know it's been an emotional press tour.
I'm really sorry. We're really sorry.
It just happens.
It's really emotional.
We can't help it. We're trying our best. But there's a lot of emotional things that happen, and we're just going with it.
Why does emotional availability scare you so?
So just be clear, emotional availability doesn't scare us. I'm a crier. I'm emotional. I cry a lot. I cry when I'm happy, when I'm emotionally moved, when I think something's cute. I cried a little while ago because there was a really cute baby in a cafe and I just looked at the baby and I cried. It was so cute, honestly, it was the cutest baby I've ever seen. So like, that's not a problem. I cry a lot, okay? But the reason people aren't scared of emotional availability, they are creeped out because you guys are performative. It's people don't like it not because it's emotional, but actually because the opposite, because it isn't emotional, because people don't like it because it's coming across as attention seeking, as performative, and like, there's nothing genuine about it. And again, on this video and other videos, people just constantly commenting things like, some of the funniest comments I've seen are things like, you know, watching this from District 12, like reference to the Hunger Games, like as if like they're the elites and I'm here in shitty District 12 watching them make a big deal out of something so frivolous and stupid. Meanwhile, the rest of us have real lives. Hello? That's the vibe they're giving off. That's the vibe they're getting. That's why, like, it's that people don't like. People are commenting things like that, referencing the Hunger Games. Firstly, yes, it's easy because of how they're dressed and how they act, and although it is, and the hand-holding and the weirdness. But because we know that this is a performative, elitist display of attention-seeking. It's not emotional availability. People connect with emotional availability. We like emotional availability and vulnerability, for the most part, when it's genuine.
How did you know you were weird? Good weird, proper weird.
Good weird, proper weird. I don't even know.
You have to be a theater person.
Truly,
We're all beautiful
weird.
kids. We're all beautiful weirdos.
Don't feel that out, yeah.
Can I just say, this is why people hate theatre kids.
That's the thing, and you put all your heart and soul into it. When you read with the inner child stuff and the book, did you like dissolve?
Yes.
What a moment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Cynthia, you fucking did it, babe. Babe, like, from an alpha bar, from an autistic alpha bar, oh my God, you did it. I want to look you both in the eye and say you did it.
This whole press tour is satire. It's just satire. Oh, I can't, no, it's an elaborate joke. It's just silly. Everyone's in on it.
You really did it. Thank you so much. From a nerdy theatre kid who was outed at school my whole life, this film means so much to me, and there are so many millions of kids like me who find refuge in The Witches. And I just want to let you know, I mean, I'm a nobody, but you did it. You did it.
We love you.
And I thank you. I was thinking I'm going to hurry up so.
Oh my goodness.
It's just,
oh my goodness. Cynthia
it was the highlight of my life. Please, oh my God. I just thank you for being you, and thank you for doing such an incredible job with her and looking up. Oh my God. And you, Miss Lucille Boyle,
that's my sailor,
Lucille Boyle with the voice of an angel and bossy high kicks.
Oh my
How dare you? How dare you both?
Oh my gosh.
Can you stay all day?
I'd love to stay all day.
Oh my goodness. And you're wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing
You are
that.
an angel.
Thank you for giving that to us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go.
You're wonderful. No, you're wonderful.
No, you're wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Very wandering around.
But all of that, again, it's just more fart sniffing, calling each other beautiful and wonderful, and all just like, we're amazing, and I don't know. Which, if this was a one-off fight, it's just constant, the whole press tour, and like, it's just a lot.
We need an ice
love
pack.
you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we love you.
You did it,
You're
you did it.
amazing and
So don't
hilarious
even worry
and
about it.
brilliant
Thank
and
you.
beautiful.
Yes.
Oh, I can't handle the fart sniffing. So all just up each other's backsides. Please climb down from there.
Yeah, I caught Ariana Grande Butera.
Yeah.
At the end of that.
Yeah.
What was your dad's reaction knowing that Butera made it?
Oh man. Oh no, babe.
Yeah. Whoa! Watching Elphaba and seeing this character, you're not going to tell me. You're not going to tell me that didn't sit with you and what we saw on the screen wasn't real. And didn't come from a place, yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
It's just a movie. It's like relax.
And to tell all of us, I see, like you're telling all of us, I see you, you know? Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, I just know what it's like to feel like you don't fit. Like you just like outside of the ordinary, like there's no room for you. So I feel like it's a bit of a hug for anyone who feels that way.
That's what it is.
It is.
Yeah, that's what it is. For all of us who have felt other,
Yeah.
who have felt excluded,
Yeah.
who have felt not wanted, who
Yeah.
have felt dismissed or disregarded.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a huge hug.
I don't play that precious nonsense. Oh, we're moving over. Get out of here.
Okay, either they need serious help, like seriously, to I don't know, or they're going through something else or extreme, like, because look, if this was a one-off interview where they like cry or like something happens that's emotional, fine. I'm not anti-crying, but like I'd take the emotion seriously if it was a one-off and or just it wasn't such a performance. But nothing about this feels real. And I do think most of the crying is performative that they've had throughout the press tour. Like just to put this in perspective, the only way I would expect an actor to cry that much on a press tour is if they were in a traumatic movie about something that they themselves had gone through. Let's say they're playing a grieving parent and they themselves in real life have lost a child. Then I would understand that level of bursting into tears every opportunity and that level of like emotional outbursts. Then I'd understand that. It would make sense. It seems like a proportionate reaction. That's the thing. It feels like such a disproportionate reaction, the crying as to what's actually like happening. I'd understand that in a serious situation like that. But you guys are in Wicked, the movie about the Munchkin people in a magical university. And I don't care that Ariana wanted this role all her life. That's something else. People are like, it's because she wanted this role all her life and it's so meaningful to them and blah, blah, blah. You're fine. It can be, but that still doesn't come close to the excessive emotion they display. Like Wicked is their whole life, their whole identity. It's ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous. And I just wanted to bring this into perspective. I wanted to compare this press tour with, let's say I picked a meaningful film out of the air with the interviews from 12 Years a Slave.
Whenever you're screaming at your fellow actor or you're whipping your fellow actor, take me to the moment you immediately hear cut. What happens after that moment?
You know, it's pretty heightened stuff, so you know, you sort of take a beat, but usually it's, you know, there's some form of support.
How can you make up some of this stuff to torture, to humiliate people?
I expected everything to be tough. The one that surprised me was the scene in which Patsy's wounds gets treated. But then it turned out to be the most heartbreaking because, you know, all she ever wanted was to move on, you know, to a different life. And yeah, my heart broke in that moment.
I think what he wrote on the page was incredible, and I think his autobiography is a real testament to him and his soul and his ability to withstand this extraordinary experience.
So, way more emotionally taxing than Wicked, based on an actual true story that the actors had to connect with and dive into. So, they were talking about genuinely really, really deep, traumatic and emotional themes that had really happened to real people. And they were managing to talk about those things without turning it into some ridiculously self-centered breakdown performance for attention, which is what I think the Creep Twins were doing.
You know, your son got shot in the face, that's difficult. Making a movie is a luxury. It's a gift. It's an opportunity, and most importantly, it's a gift. Obviously, everybody here is talented enough to do that, but don't get it twisted. It's just a movie. It ain't that big a deal.
So after I'd come up with that example as well of, let's say, a grieving parent doing a movie about that theme, I wondered if that had actually ever happened, because I just wanted to, you know, I was like, oh, I wonder how those interviews went. I did some research, and it turns out that there is an example of an actor playing a bereaved parent who is also one in real life.
And it's hard for us, isn't it, as parents, to feel that that's one of the painful things, is think, did we do everything that we did? And it's easy to blame yourself, and I suppose I still do.
Because we lost for those people who don't know, we lost our daughter Maud to sepsis in 2011. One always wants to express oneself, if you're an artist, to things that count and things that really matter. So along came this script about a regular guy who'd lost a child, and how it traumatised him, and how it affected the way that he lived and how he tried to cope with it.
Jason Watkins lost his 2-year-old daughter, very tragically, and then played a bereaved father in a TV show. And you can tell the emotions are real and genuine as he's been interviewed about something so traumatic and so personal that he's gone through. And it's not anywhere near the levels of Ariana and Cynthia press tour hysteria. Even when he's doing a press tour about probably the most distressing thing a person can go through, that he himself genuinely has gone through. And look, I know everyone displays emotions in different ways. Like, some people will cry and express emotions over small things, and others won't over big things. You know, I know that. But I'm sorry, like, when I compare and put into perspective the ridiculousness of how they're behaving, like, not just one interview cry, but constant and very clearly performative crying over something benign, when I compare that with other actors who aren't being performative and over the top, even when they have far more reason to, it makes me even more convinced that there is nothing real about this. And again, let me just say, it's not just the fact they're crying all the time, it's the fact that they're crying as well as like bigging themselves up and making Wicked seem like it's something so much bigger and more dramatic than it is. Like, yeah, I'm sure it's a good film that means a lot to people, but so did Harry Potter. And you didn't see the actors like breaking down constantly when they're interviewed. Like, maybe at the end, after however many years of doing it together, they'd shed a tear. But you know what I mean? Like, there have been other things that have meant so much to people and the actors involved. And there's nothing that feels like... So it's not just the crying, it's the crying with also the fact that there is constantly like, you know, we've done so much with this, you know, we're amazing and you're the best babe, no, you're the best babe, like, and the touching and the face stroking and all of that adds together to just make me go, I don't believe this for a second.
So good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so proud
Thank
of
you for
you.
your thoughtfulness.
I'm really proud of you for
You are
doing that,
beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Well done.
But yeah, so when I compare that, the hysteria over nothing compared with actors who could have something to be hysterical about and aren't, I think it just led me to this thought. I think when an emotion is genuine, you don't have to perform it or try to get attention or try to convince people that you're deeply moved, because you know you are. You feel it, and it doesn't really matter if others are convinced like by your emotion or not, because you're secure in your own emotions. And just when you're talking, you're being authentic and people listening to you feel it and respond in a very real way. Now, that's not saying that you might not cry as you're saying it, or, you know, but it doesn't become a performance. But when the emotion is fake and you're doing it as a display to convince people that you're emotional, then it has got to be a performance. And then you've got to trick yourself into believing it also with silly, over-the-top displays, so you can convince yourself and others that you're deeply moved in a way that you're actually not, and trick others into feeling an emotion that isn't there. So something else that I thought of, because this has just happened really recently, another example of this over-the-top kind of display of fake emotion in order to convince people of something that isn't true, rather than something genuine, is the whole, I don't know how many people know about this, but recently on the booktube part of the internet of YouTube, which I used to be, like, watch more and be more involved in, not so much now, there's this whole situation with Daniel Green, a booktuber, who was falsely accused, of rape by Naomi King, I think that's her name is, she's got, I think, the YouTube channel, a few videos. She then had to released a video basically that is all, and then admitted she lied, and it was all just a complete shit show. But I noticed, because I actually saw this as it was unfolding, so I saw her first video before he'd responded, and it, like, immediately, I mean, he's been uncancelled now, but immediately, like, everyone on booktube, like, cancelled him. And I remember watching her video and just thinking, I don't know whether this has happened like she says. I mean, there are some messages, I mean, there's selective messages, but it seemed to maybe back up part of her story. It didn't help that he was having an affair with her at the time, which didn't help I guess, people view him as trustworthy. But he's innocent, to be clear. But I remember watching her original video, and she left in, it was an edited video, it wasn't like just live stream, she'd edited the video and put stuff in. But what she left in was about 5 minutes, I'm not joking, it was about 5 minutes, where she didn't speak, where she just had a breakdown and panic attack on camera, like really, and she said, put like a text at the bottom saying, I left this in because I wanted to show people the reality of like what a panic attack looks like and stuff, which I'm always skeptical. I saw that bit and I was like, I'm always skeptical of people who set up a camera when they're like really emotional, having a breakdown or something. I just find something about it a bit weird to like then put that on the internet. And yeah, okay, she was already filming at the time because she was like telling this story, if this had been true, which is not, if this had been true. Like, I get she was filming at the time, but it's weird that she wouldn't, it felt very like performative to me. The fact I was weirded out. I didn't like it, the fact that she'd left the breakdown in. It made me doubt it a little bit, because I was like, well, the rest of the video's edited. She's left in 5 minutes of something that feels very like, it felt really, yeah, performative, or like for the benefit of others to try and like gain sympathy, or like, you know, rather than trying to tell a story or just you know, gets, you know what I mean? And again, it would have been different if it's like tearing up as she's telling this or something like that. But it was the dramatics of just 5 minutes in an edited video that were just left in of just this panic attack. And I was like, And yeah, she was lying. It's proven she was lying. She kind of admitted she was lying. It's an absolutely unhinged situation. Very unfortunate. But it was like a performance of trauma. And I think that's the thing. I think a few people kind of found that when they watched the original video were a bit like unsure about this whole like performative thing she left in the middle. But I don't know, I bring it up because it's an interesting example, and I think not always, but often that's the case, is when there's a genuine emotion, people don't feel the need to perform it or try and convince others. That's what it felt like. It felt like she was trying to convince everyone that she was really traumatized and upset by this whole thing. Which, by the way, how absolutely insane messed up is that you go to that lengths to have this panic attack on camera to try and ruin this guy's life because, well, this seems to be the case and everyone seems to be saying, I'd say because he picked his girlfriend over her in the end, and she seemed pissed off about that. That seems to be the conclusion that lots of people have drawn. That seems to be the case. But you go to the extent that you fake this breakdown, hysteria, and then put it out. Like, it's so manipulative and calculated and like despicable. It's such a despicable thing to do, to try and play on people's sympathy. You're trying to convince people of something. So it felt manipulative. That's what I didn't like it when I first saw that. Because it felt like, I'm like, why do you, it felt like she was trying to convince everyone of it. That's what I think felt inauthentic. And not always, but often, when someone has a genuine emotion, they know how they feel, and it doesn't become something performative for others. It doesn't become a performance for others. That's not to say they don't cry or get upset, but do you know what I mean? There is a difference. There's nuances there. And when something is often false, people can like big it up and this very over the top, very like overact really, to try and convince people, to try and get people on side, to convince them of something that isn't there. I think that happens a lot.
And I feel like it might have saved me, because he didn't touch me after that. He knew that I already have PTSD.
We saw that with Naomi King. Like, it wasn't true what happened. So she faked a breakdown to try and convince people it was, and probably herself. She probably tried to convince herself in some way that she was really like having this distress emotional reaction, because like the emotion wasn't real. And it wasn't real, and it wasn't real because then later, so she had that first video and then she got cocky and then did a second video where she decided to like act out what had happened, like act out what had happened between them. I know I'm going a bit off topic here, but and she was like laughing the whole time and taking the piss, and it was in then that people noticed. It was in that video she basically like ruined her own story, because in that video she was showing loads of inconsistencies and other messages that disproved what she'd claimed in the first video, and then everyone, just from her own words, before Daniel Green had had to say anything, people watched her video and said, wow, so you just made this up because this isn't true, by your own words, this is like, and then she had to apologise. But yeah, clearly this whole breakdown where she was so traumatised she couldn't even tell the story, that she had a 5-minute panic attack, wasn't true, because the next video she's laughing and joking and acting it out completely fine. Like, if you can't talk about it without having a panic attack, you then wouldn't be acting it out and making like weird noises and like laughing like, so this is what happened and he was here, and like it was utterly bizarre. Anyway, obviously what Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande is like, I'm not saying it's anywhere like that, but I just think that parallel with kind of a performative emotion is true a lot of the time. And by the way, I've got some evidence that I'll get to later that Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo are performing this, that they are faking it, in my opinion. Not that we need it, because it's obvious watching them, but I will come to later why I think they proved it accidentally themselves, that it's not real.
My girlfriend, she took her 2 little girls last night, 5 and 7 years old, and I've written down what they said. At the end of it, they said, you have to be good and you have to be kind to everybody.
Whoa.
And she is a good witch.
Yeah, that's the message.
You know what I mean? It's that impact.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Stop it. Stop
That's
it.
beautiful.
She is a good witch. Like, if like kids can feel that, then
Yeah. That's the point.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't believe that reaction for a second. So the interviewer says, oh yeah, this little girl, you know, my friend's little girl went to see it and wrote it down, whatever, like everyone can be a good witch, whatever the hell she wrote. You don't go, like, I just don't believe it. It looks like someone trying to, I don't believe the emotion's genuine, I don't. Because they're feeding off each other. They're like, it's like performing, whether they believe themselves, that, I think they've tricked themselves into believing like the emotions are kind of true, but I also think they're forcing it, if that makes sense. It's like when 12-year-old girls kind of feed in to each other's emotions and do that whole performative thing. I don't know, like, it's the fact they're holding each other's hands, and like, I think if one of them had been there, I don't think they'd be acting like the way they are, but and then waiting like, and then it's the 12-year-old said that. I don't think she's doing that because she just can't speak because she's gonna cry. I think that's to kind of try and make herself cry. Like, I just don't believe it. Stop it. It's ridiculous. You know what? It's because I think they're building themselves up to try and like cry. Constantly holding each other's hands like they're anticipating crying before someone even says something. So performative, and they're feeding into each other. Like, are they emotionally unstable? Probably. But do I think this is a genuine emotion? No. I think they think it is, but it isn't. I think they've like tricked themselves into believing it is, but it's not. It's like watching two narcissists staring at their own reflection through each other. It's bizarre. Like feeding off each other to big up their own sense of self-importance.
I think we found a little piece of ourselves in each other. I think there are little pieces of us that when we got to do this together, when we first started, each of us was missing like a little chunk. And I think we've been able to see in each other a bit of a reflection. And so I think I've gotten a little bit of her softness, and she's got
her strength.
A little bit of my strength.
Yeah. Truthfully.
I'm not kidding. I wrote the narcissist thing, that it's like they're in love with like staring at their own reflection through each other. Literally before this, I came across this clip where Cynthia Erivo says it's like seeing their own reflection in each other. I'm not joking. I didn't come across that before I had that idea. That's what it's like, and she's even said it. That's so funny. She literally says reflection, like seeing each other's reflection. I promise I didn't watch this before I said that. They have fallen in love with themselves through each other. They are each other's narcissus pool. That's why they've stopped eating and sleeping and can't be away from each other and touching each other, apparently. Just from what they're showing the public, it just looks like a really unhealthy relationship. It looks so codependent, or like more akin to how you'd speak about someone you're in a relationship with, maybe a sibling or someone you've known for years and years. It's very 12-year-old girl to immediately get that attached to someone. Like over a summer camp, you know, when you're 12, that's what it's like. They're on a movie together, they've known each other like a little while, yeah. But you know, when you're like, maybe, I don't know, you're 12 and you go on like a summer course or something, like where it's really intense, you're with each other all the time. Imagine that's probably something like a film set, and you're 12 and then you meet another girl and then you're like, we're best friends forever, oh my god, we're so similar, and like here's a locket, let's have a friendship locket, you have half and I have half, and it's like we've got a piece of each other with us the whole time, and you're my best friend and I love you so, no, I love you so much, and we'll be best friends forever and ever, and we'll never get married, and we'll live in a house together, and we just love each other so much. I just love you, and I'm gonna be so sad when summer camp's over, and I'm gonna miss you every day and call you every day, and I love you so much, and we're never ever gonna not be best friends. And then like they go back from summer camp and never speak again. Stop touching each other. Anyway.
Before I came to this, I knew that vulnerability was one of my strong suits, but I just didn't. I didn't get to show it as much. I didn't get to share it as much. Why am I feeling emotional about that?
Because it's true. And there's a lot.
I'm feeling very emotional about that as well, because it's been a struggle for me as well.
Also, the top comment on this video is, what the actual fuck is this?
So playing Alphaba has given me the chance to like put that on the outside. I think people often assume that I'm like strong. I think people assume that my feelings aren't at the surface, and I think Alphaba's allowed me to really show that I'm a person and I feel and I have feelings and I can share them.
And if you need to cry right now, you cry.
Yeah. And someone said to me once that the green was the thing I would love the most about Alphaba, that I would want to stay green. But actually, being green, yes, I loved playing this character. But every time I took the makeup off, I like loved who I was even more.
It's just all about them. Like, this whole thing is just... I think they need therapy, I'm not even kidding. Like, Cynthia, you're 38. It's just... This is what I mean, where everything comes back to them. Everything comes back to, like, their journey, their personal journey. How... I don't know, it's just bizarre. And also, like, I get actors, you know, often will talk about, like, an artist will talk about their personal feelings on something, but it's just so over the top with them. It's like... It's quite narcissistic in the sense that, like, why would you think the general public wants to hear so much about each of your personal journeys and, like, what... Make it more about the film or the character, or less, it's all about them. Like, everything comes back to how powerful and moving and brave they are. Like, everything. They're just actors. Like, you were in Wicked. And like I said, when I compare it to the other actors' interviews before, where it's, like, films about actual serious shit, and they're just speaking professionally.
So I've come away, like, feeling really beautiful.
You f***ing are.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I mean, God,
You know?
Yeah.
And the constant, like, up each other's arse, like, you're so beautiful, you are, and you're... Is that why they're so attached? Because the other person's just constantly validating them and, like, everything and telling them they're amazing and wonderful and special. Like I said, they're each other's narcissist pool. Like, that's the vibe they're giving.
What you've brought to this film and to these characters, you've not just taken care of them, you have transformed them for good.
Thank you.
Really.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For good. Thank you. Really. Thank you.
I'd love it if the interviewers would stop climbing up their backsides as well.
This was my first time ever doing a
You have been
amazing.
the light
You're
of the
amazing.
day. You are
truly-
such an...
Yeah, you brought such light into the room. Thank you very much
We
for
appreciate
coming
you.
into this room
Thank
today.
you.
We needed you to come in.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
We love you. Thank
Have a lovely rest of
you.
your day.
You too.
Thank you,
Thank
Pink
you.
News.
Thank you.
We love you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's a self-importance where so saying something like that to the interviewer is ridiculous, because the interviewer, I don't know, maybe she might be a good journalist, whatever, but it's the ridiculousness of overblowing, like, everyone they come across, it's like they overblow the self-importance of the people they're dealing with in their professional world, so they overblow their own self-importance. So, like, this interviewer, like, you've been the light of the day, you've brought so much joy and light in this room. Like, she hasn't though, has she? She's just asked you a few questions, which is fine, she asked them fine, but it's like they're all acting like everything they all do is the most important thing ever. That's why people are comparing them to the Hunger Games. It's like, oh, we're all so important, aren't we? And you've been the light of the day. Everyone's gonna, you know, we're all just so important and amazing. All of us here in Hollywood, in the entertainment industry, in media. All of us are just so important, really. And you've like changed the world, you know? And then the interviewers are doing it, they're all doing it to each other. The interviewer's like, no, you, Alphaba, you, Alphaba, you've changed life for autistic children. I don't know what it's got to do with autistic. I'm sorry, but he's just so ridiculously performative. And I'm not saying that someone who's autistic can't watch it and find, like, meaning in it, but they've not, like, I don't know, it's just so silly. They're not, like, charity workers who've done loads for, like, the autistic community or something. I'm sorry, I just can't. It's so silly. But they're all just like, no, you have made bullying go extinct now everywhere. And the whole world, and Cynthia's like, have I really? The bullying's gone. This is not, oh my God, I've changed the world. I'm so important. Tell me I'm important, Ariana. Am I important? I was like, babe, you're so important. And me, I'm important. And Ariana's then crying. And Cynthia's like, no, you're so important. And the interviewer's like, no, you're important. And they're like, no, you're important. We're all important here in Hollywood media land. Fucking grow up. That's why they're all drunk on their own self-importance, and it's embarrassing to watch. Also, when they're at the interview, you've been the light of the day. You've been joy. All the comments are calling them out for being so patronising and condescending. Because, yeah, like, there's a grown woman who's got a professional job and you're talking to her like she's a toddler. Wow, you did a big you're so special. You asked those questions so well. You did so well asking those questions. Was it really tricky? You've been the light of the day. You've been the light of the day. Oh, you brought so much joy, sweetheart. It is. It's condescending. It's condescending. They're all just patronising and inauthentic. It's inauthentic as well because, like, what's she done? it's not real. You don't really mean that when you're talking to that interviewer. But yeah, everyone in the comments in that video calling them patronising, condescending, narcissistic and performative, because all of these interviews are just an exercise in ego stroking each other, interviewers ego stroking them, taking everything so seriously that they've cured cancer, and it's sycophantic and embarrassing. Actually embarrassing. Again, Cynthia, you're 38, grow up. Ariana, you're 31 or however, you're in your 30s. Like, get a job. I know they have one, they're making a lot of money, but seriously, like, they don't live in reality. Get a job, says the YouTuber. True. I love this, all the comments. I really enjoy these interviews from District 1, where they talk like they're teaching kindergarten. And then there's some people in the comments who are like, why has everyone been so mean to them? It just shows how deep their emotions are. No, it doesn't. That's why people don't like it. It doesn't show that. Okay, and if you think that I'm being mean when I call them inauthentic, and this whole video have said they're being so performative, I have proof that it's just a performance.
So that's a special moment for us, but I was just trying to keep the space as warm as possible for this one, for Alphabet.
I'm sorry, but that is such a stupid hat. It's a silly, silly hat, Cynthia.
I've seen this week people are taking the lyrics of Defying Gravity and really holding space with that and feeling power in that. Would you touch on that moment in the film when Elphaba has been banished and yet she comes into her full power at that moment of the worst time?
I didn't know that that was happening.
I've seen it, yeah.
That's really powerful.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was happening.
I've seen it on a couple posts. I don't know how widespread, but you know, I am in queer media, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so that clip went viral, not because of Cynthia's silly, stupid, tiny hat, but because it was like one of the worst clips. I mean, there's so many from the Wicked press tour, but that was one of the worst where everyone looked at it and said, that's the most self-absorbed, like pretentious bollocks that I've ever heard. Like, it went viral because everyone was like, what does that mean? People have been holding space for the lyrics of Defying Gravity. And then Cynthia immediately tears up and is like, I didn't know that was happening. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. Because everyone online was like, what does that mean? What does it mean? And then the interviewer's like, yeah, I'm in queer media. And they're all like, oh, queer media. Oh my God. Holding space for Defying Gravity in queer media. Oh, we're such warriors, all of us. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean, and first of all, what's the weird finger holding? It's so self-important. This is the Emperor's New Clothes. This is the Emperor's New Clothes where everyone pretends that it's vacuous and fake deep. You know why? Because saying people have been holding space for the lyrics of Defying Gravity doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. Because what does that mean? No one knows what it means. So that's why it went viral, because everyone's like, to have that response, a fake crying response, when someone says, people have really been holding space for the lyrics of Defying Gravity. And she's like, I didn't know. That's what I wanted. As if she wrote the fucking song is the other thing. It's got nothing, like, it's all about that. That's what I wanted. I didn't know that was happening. That's so powerful. Wow. Get over it. Just get over yourselves. I mean, anyone who watched that knew that was an inauthentic reaction, but it was proven later, because basically then the interviewer had to say, because the clip went viral, the interviewer had to admit that actually she just made that up on the spot. She admitted, she was like, I didn't actually know what to say. A friend had mentioned something, so I just said, oh, people in queer spaces are holding space. Holding space. Holding space doesn't mean we're holding space. It's such pretentious dog shit speak. Anyway, we're holding space for the lyrics of Defying Gravity. The interviewer was like, I don't know what I meant by that, I just said it. And then, because that then went viral and everyone was like, oh, well, look, it looks like Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande making a big deal out of nothing, because the interviewer made it up, so they're just making a big drama of nothing, which maybe you think, oh, but maybe they thought it was real. It doesn't mean anything. They're all just, like, talking at each other, not saying it, saying, like, words like, you're amazing, you're wonderful, we're holding space. And they know it doesn't mean anything, and none of them know what it really means. And they're all pretending to be deep, but they're not deep. They're fake deep. Because they were deep, they would understand what those things mean, and they go, oh, what do you mean by that? Or what? Like, they're pretending to understand pretentious things so they sound smart, and they don't actually know what it means. Because no one knows what it means. And then they admitted it. So after the interviewer said, yeah, I made it up, Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, had to admit that they also didn't know what was going on in that moment.
I had no idea that this thing was going on.
So I didn't know what any part of it meant.
That's really powerful.
I didn't understand the first sentence. And I didn't know how to be there.
I didn't know that was happening.
But then after a while, I didn't know how to be there.
That's what I wanted.
She had said that she was seeing it because she was in queer media.
You know, I am in queer media.
And I was like,
I honestly didn't know what that meant. And am I also in queer media? Maybe.
So I know loads of people saw that and were like, oh, it's so cute, it's so funny that they didn't know what's going on, it's so cutesy, ha ha ha, isn't this hilarious, that they were all so confused in the moment. Surely just proves their inauthenticity. They're admitting they faked the emotions, but then they're trying to laugh it off. Everyone's like, oh, it's so cute. It's like, that just makes me question like everything in that they've done. I didn't know that, that's what I wanted. But you don't know what that means, Cynthia, so how can that be what you wanted? And again, she didn't even have to get stuck on that point. That's the thing, everything has to be so dramatic and all about them and it's all, oh, people holding space, it's so powerful. You could have just like ignored the first part of what she said and answered the question, because she went on to ask a question of what was it for you in that moment when you sang the song or whatever.
Would you touch on that moment in the film when Elphaba has been banished and yet she comes into her full power at that moment of the worst time?
You could have just like ignored the whole first part of holding space. You didn't have to be like, oh my god, that's so powerful that people have been holding space. I didn't know that was happening. Just me, little old me. Oh. I guess people are seeing that as like cute, like, oh, ha ha ha. They were just pretending in the moment. That for me doesn't ring like an interview. I can understand like an interview clip where it's like the actors in the moment were confused and then it's funny afterwards, like, ha ha, they pretended, they just went with it. But to me, it doesn't feel like going with it. It feels like they faked a dramatic emotion, like holding each other and like it was so powerful. It comes out that the interviewer didn't know what she was talking about, that no one knew what they were talking about. So they have to kind of admit that they didn't, and they have to try and make it like cutesy. But I'm like, I don't really get that, because it just in my mind is like, just makes it so inauthentic and fake. Like they're admitting like, yeah, it wasn't real. It's just so silly. And they were not just faking anything. They were faking self-importance and faking deep emotions. Like they made a powerful statement that has changed the world. And then they had to be like, oops, okay, that didn't actually mean anything. And we're either going to have to explain what we thought she meant by holding space for the lyrics of Defying Gravity, or we're just going to be like, yeah, we just had like a deep, fake deep emotional reaction and like almost cried again over nothing. This is why, I mean, I didn't believe him before that, but that for me was like, yeah, confirmation. It's just all bollocks.
And you're beautiful. Yeah. Thank you so much. Oh my god, girls, like you're the most beautiful girls in the room. So
not just
thank you so much.
But here we can see that.
I hate that. That just gives me the biggest ick. Saying like, you're beautiful, and the interviewer's like clearly a bit flustered and embarrassed. Oh, thanks. And no, but like in here, we can see it. First of all, weird that they speak for each other. The psychic creep twins. We see it. You're beautiful. Eat your heart or something. But it's empty platitudes. Like, I don't know. I feel like that even that's like kind of rings of self-importance. Like we see it. We can see your beauty. We see it's. I don't have a problem. It might seem like I'm anti people being nice to each other. I'm not. I don't have a problem with people paying genuine compliments. Keyword being genuine. You met this girl a minute ago. She's asked you like 2 questions and somehow you can see her inner beauty as a special person. Give me a fucking break. Please stop wanking each other off just for the sake of it. You do not mean that. You might even think that you mean that, but you don't. You're saying it because you think that it makes you come across better. You think it makes you come across to her and to the audience like a special, empathetic, wonderful, kind person. It's all about you. Like, I think it's just a performance thing. It's an image thing. And I don't really think very highly of Cynthia Erivo's empathy, because she didn't seem to have much empathy for the fan who edited that movie poster when she sent a mob after them, did she? Hi. Are you tortured by never knowing what happened to the unreleased scripts from my unfinished video series, like parts 2 and 3 from my review of Netflix's Winx? Are you kept awake at night, pondering what mysteries the 30 minutes I cut from my Rolo video could hold? 30 key minutes where I addressed his unhinged rant that it's impossible for women to have heroes' journeys or be good protagonists. Did you enjoy channel videos like I become a narcissist, I declare war on mosquitoes, and of course, the classic, I talk and 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 talk? If the answer to any of those questions is yes, then joining my online cult could be the right choice for you. That's right. Over at The Authentic Observer on Patreon, you'll get access to unreleased scripts from videos I never uploaded, the cut sections from longer videos, if there are any, and hours of unedited rambles. I talk about everything, like how important mood is in storytelling and the difference, if any, between masculine and feminine points of view in writing. Or a video discussing the poetry of some of my patrons. Or that time Fresh and Fit had a proud grapist on their podcast. Remember Scientology? Old news. The Authentic Observer is the hip new cult on the block. All the cool kids are signing up. You do want to be cool, don't you? There are so many options to choose from. Our entry-level tier, Skirts and Stockings, is a great choice for beginners. Overgrown Harry Potter kids may feel more at home as a devoted follower of ACES. And for the alpha males amongst you, the woodshed could be just what you need. Just don't let Rolo see you. No one knows what he does to the men he catches. The Authentic Observer cult operates on an honesty system. All tiers have the same access to content, the idea being to support the channel and the content produced here at whatever level you feel appropriate. So if you value the content on this channel and would like to support me, that's where to do it. Link down below in the description box. So if, like myself, you enjoy listening to the sound of my voice, hop on over to Patreon for an offer you don't want to miss. Join a cult today!
So I'm just going to briefly explain this controversy that happened. Back when this film was being promoted, there was a fan edit made. This is the movie poster for Wicked that they did. And then this is the poster for the stage production, because Wicked is based on the Broadway musical. And a fan decided to edit the movie poster to look more like the Broadway poster. Is there anything that wrong with this? No, I don't think so. Fan edits of posters and everything have been around forever. And just to clarify again, this was a fan. This was someone who was excited about the movie coming out and just decided to do a fan edit of the movie poster. So the movie poster, by the way, just in my opinion, I think their edit is way better than the original poster. The movie poster compared to the Broadway poster is just not as good. The Broadway poster with the red lip, I think, is really striking, and the hat covering her face. She looks, it's like, oh, you go into like even symbolic meaning of the character. I've not even seen it. I don't really care about Wicked. I don't know much about it, but from what I know about the character, she's got hidden depths. She appears as one thing, like outwardly wicked, but there's more to her than appears. So it kind of makes sense that you've got this hat covering her eyes, like there's hidden aspects to her. She's mysterious. There's hidden depths there. She's got hidden motivations, maybe. Like, and it's just a more visually like grabbing. It's more visually interesting. The Broadway poster. Her face is half in shadow. Like she's hiding part of herself. You don't know who she truly is. And then, you know, you've got the good witch or whatever whispering in her ear. It's just a lot better. And the red lip hints at someone who's like got inner strength, who's bold. She's kind of smiling, like she's in control. It's all these things. Okay, the movie poster, my opinion, is pretty boring. Not much going on. Also worth saying, and I know this really isn't the point of this video, but the stage poster also looks like those two are actually friends and they're sharing a secret. Like she's smiling at whatever she's been told, like they share something, like they're in tandem with each other. In the Cynthia and Ariana one, Cynthia looks like she's desperately screaming out for help, and Ariana's shell-shocked her with whatever she said. Like it's just, it doesn't really hint at, from what I understand in Wicked, the deeper meaning of the story as well as the other poster does. So, sorry guys, your version's not as good. So is that. But even if the fan edit had been worse than the movie poster, that doesn't change anything about what I'm going to tell you. So Cynthia Erivo came across this fan edit, and rather than, I don't know, posting maybe, oh my god, isn't it wonderful that fans are so excited about the movie and like excited to see it and stuff, Cynthia decided to take this personally, because her and Ariana seem to be like extraordinarily self-centered, or like at least on this press tour. I don't know how you would take this personally, but so she reposted it with this caption: "This is the wildest, most offensive thing I have seen, equal to that awful AI of us fighting, equal to people posing the question of, is your pussy green? None of this is funny. None of it is cute. It degrades me. It degrades us. The original poster is an illustration. I am a real-life human being who chose to look right down the barrel of the camera to you, the viewer. Because without words, we communicate with our eyes. Our poster is an homage, not an imitation. To edit my face and hide my eyes is to erase me. And that is just deeply hurtful." I think she might be the biggest drama queen on the planet. So yeah, the fans' edit was also an homage, Cynthia. To edit my face and hide my eyes is to erase me. So I'm mind blown by this. And no one was on her side. Not even, I couldn't find anyone who agreed with her. Like, everyone was like, you are doing too much. This is an overreaction. But also, it highlights so many things that I think she was ignorant of when she posted this. One of the things it highlights is her apparent, like, cushy life so far. And look, I don't doubt that Cynthia has, had struggles in life, potentially faced discrimination, whatever it happens to be. That all well could be true. But it makes it seem like it isn't when she posts something saying that this is the most offensive thing she's ever seen. This is the most offensive thing she's seen. And how degrading she finds it. It comes across as so entitled, like someone it's like, really? This is your biggest hardship? You're starring in a Hollywood movie, and someone who is excited to see your movie did a cute, fun edit of the poster, and you think that that's erasing your identity? Like, how privileged have you been up until this point? That is what's coming across, and of course everyone took it that way, and it's okay. And look, I can have empathy for Cynthia. I can imagine it's really, really difficult to go from being relatively unknown. I don't know, I think she did have somewhat of an acting career before this. I'd never heard of her. So many people had never heard of her. So she goes from that to being, suddenly, she's starring in one of the biggest movies of the year alongside, an internationally famous pop star, and she's on press tours, and suddenly she's, like, really famous. And cameras on her, lights on her. Suddenly you're getting a huge amount of attention. That's got to mess with your mind. So I can see that having a huge effect on you, and maybe it builds up and you're getting all these comments online. Like, I do have empathy for that because I think that would be difficult. And suddenly you're getting all this attention and you just kind of snap and you take things that are meant innocuously as, like, being really offensive. However, she never really apologized. So this fan got huge backlash, but they deleted the post. They eventually reinstated it because after they were like, hang on, maybe I didn't mean this badly. There was nothing wrong with this. So they got huge backlash, got attacked online. But she never apologized. Like, I could maybe forgive them. I mean, it's still really crazy. And I'm like, I don't know, stop and think. But, you could forgive that for, like, someone newly famous who's not had a whole lot of press training, probably. Although, having said that, she is in her late 30s. So it's like, I don't know, you should have some, like, life maturity there, maybe, to see you through this. You're not, like, some 20-year-old who's just gotten famous as well. But she never apologized when she was just asked about it later. All she said to Entertainment Tonight was, quote, "I'm passionate about it and I know the fans are passionate about it, and I think for me it was just like a human moment of wanting to protect little Elphaba, and it was like a human moment. I probably should have called my friends, but it's fine." How about sorry to the fan and that you misread the situation? How about, like, acknowledging or taking some accountability, admitting some, like, that you misstepped, say, oh, I misread it and I'm really sorry, to the fact, like, they were just excited and I, like, messed up, and I don't know, there's no apology, and also, it wasn't about wanting to protect little Elphaba, it was about you, Cynthia. You said, this erases me, it degrades me. I chose to look down. It was all, like, keep that same energy. I thought it was about you, not about Elphaba. So, and this whole thing of the original poster is an illustration. I'm a real life human being. But you're not Elphaba. You're green in this poster. What are you talking about? Like, the poster is also, like, a fantasy character. The green lady is not a real life human being. But this is, like, to my wider point, because I can see how up until this point, like, this video might come across that I'm being really harsh on both Cynthia and Ariana, for them just being, like, emotional and sweet in interviews. But this is what I mean. This is really, from all of these different things adding up, this is why I just see it as totally self-obsessed, as totally all about them. So you are taking something innocuous, something that is not an attack, and you are making it all about you. And even afterwards, when you have the opportunity to think and step back, yeah, it's still about you, and there's still not really much empathy seen for this fan that you, like, faced huge internet backlash, who's not a public figure. And also, by the way, it sucks. Like, I'm sorry, but you'll look down the barrel of the camera. This is what I mean when I say self-importance. I'm a real-life human being who chose to look right down the barrel of the camera to you, the viewer. Because without words, we communicate with our eyes. It's not that deep. Like, it's not a great poster. And to be honest, like, I'm not reading anything from your eyes. It's not a good pose. It's not a good poster. The film, apparently, by all accounts, is fantastic. And I'm not questioning Cynthia's talent. Apparently, I've not seen it, but apparently she's a fantastic singer and a fantastic actress. And I don't doubt that. But you're doing too much. Like, it's a blank stare. It's very boring. And also, by the way, the fan edited Ariana as well, to move her hand higher up her face. it's so self-obsessed, I'm sorry. But this kind of goes back to what I'm saying. The whole press tour they are doing is all about them. As, you know, pretty much every... And I know a lot of the interviewers, it's how they're asking questions, but I just want to compare that to how... And I know it's like a very different type of film, but how the cast of like 12 Years a Slave, when I showed clips from that, were reacting to questions. And they're always putting it back on the source material. They're talking about... It's not all about them, you know? They're not like acting like superstars, like... It's about the project they're involved in. It's about the film. They're talking about their role as actors, but they're, you know, always going back to the director and the real guy who's, you know, whose life the film was based on. I understand that's different because it's a lot more serious, based on a real person. But it's still, you know, and even kind of questions that when they're asked about their process and how they related to it, there's nothing that reads as self-important about it. They're kind of still deflecting those answers in a way. They're answering it, but always bringing it back to what's really important and the, you know, themes there, and that it's not about them. It feels like about the project, not about them. Everything she's doing, and Ariana, it's about them. And I want to add as well, look, and this doesn't mean that her and Ariana are terrible people, but it's kind of wild how they are behaving. It really is, and I just don't buy it's real. And something else I came across recently, which I haven't really mentioned in this video, I did do another video on it about Ariana Grande's brand change. It's, if you look up old Ariana versus new Ariana and how she speaks and her mannerisms, it's actually crazy. I came across a video a little while ago. So, you know, her branding previously, Ariana used to be accused of blackfishing all the time. She would take on a lot of like the language and accent and slang of like the black community in America. It seemed a lot, but not in a natural way, not like it was how she naturally spoke. It seemed quite performative, like because she's in the music industry. It felt very like that, and she was, you know, we all know she was darkening her skin, her hair was dark. The way she speaks, and her voice is deeper, by the way, her speaking voice, and compared to how she is now in interviews, she speaks in a really high-pitched voice to be sweet little Glinda, even when she's not in character. And she has this kind of, and she speaks a lot more, you know, and rather than using quote-unquote street slang from America, she's now speaking like this, as if she's, you know, this ladylike, more upper-class figure, using a lot, her whole language and vocabulary has changed. Her voice pitch has changed. She's talking in a higher pitch. Her outfits have changed. Her mannerisms, rather than this kind of cool, sassy, overtly sexy, cutesy pop star who speaks in like who's kind of cool and this kind of urban like branding. Now it's cardigans and Chanel. You know, it's dainty white gloves, and that's not just for Glinda, it's not just for the outfits, it's her personality, how she walks has changed, how she...
Kiyomi, get your ass in here. Come on, girl.
It's a good question. Really good question.
You know, I love my MAC lipstick. This is the MAC I'm here to talk about today, girl. Come on.
A specimen in a petri dish, really, since I was 16 or 17, you know, so I have heard it all.
I'm like, bitch, that's my cookie, that's my juice, okay? Carry on. Thank you, next. That's what this baby picture says.
They're really beautiful and kind and soft and warm and just like sweet and yeah,
So
it's just a
kind.
lot.
Sad and
Well,
I'm a
yeah,
quote.
because
people took my quote and made a headline out of it. I know what y'all do.
Of course.
Well, you said it.
So when I look at these two women, I have zero reason to believe Ariana Grande, because it seems like her whole personality at this point is a performance, at least publicly. It's insane. I do not believe or trust anything, because there seems very little that's authentic or genuine about her. Someone who can switch up their whole personality, including their speech patterns, their voice pitch, their accent, their skin tone, so quickly. Why would I believe that there's anything genuine about them performing and being hysterical in press interviews about a fantasy film? And then you've got the other one who is making everything about them, to the point she's having public meltdowns and being such a self-important victim, when it's like, Cynthia, nothing happened, and what do you mean this is the most offensive thing? This isn't about you. And who is admitted to having a fake dramatic reaction, because she was then outed, you know, and then had to say, oh yeah, I didn't actually know what was going on when I pretended to be so moved by how powerful I've been. And again, the pair of them acting like they've written this fucking movie. Like, they scripted it, they wrote it, they directed it. Don't get me wrong, they're both talented, they're both great, but they're actors. There was a whole team of people behind this whose vision it actually was. And the fact she never apologised to this fan for this very innocent poster made that was in anticipation of Cynthia's big Hollywood role, and somehow she managed to make herself the victim in this. Which, to take something so innocuous as an attack against your very identity itself, this was never about you. Tell me you've been hypnotised by excessive staring at your own metaphorical reflection leading to an overblown sense of self-importance, without telling me you've been hypnotised by excessive staring at your own metaphorical reflection leading to an overblown sense of self-importance. In this performative image Cynthia is constantly projecting, she is the noble yet suffering martyr of every situation. Which, look, I'm not questioning that she's been through some hard things, but a fan editing a movie poster because they're excited to see your movie and want to express themselves creatively is not one of those things. And actually, the fact that Cynthia described it as like one of the most offensive and wildest things she's ever seen that's ever happened to her does actually rightly make people question exactly how much hardship there has been in her life. She seemingly views everything through that narrative, that she is the persecuted hero, and so she interprets innocuous things through that lens, and in the process, she becomes the bully with more social power who sent a mob after an innocent person on the internet. Like, if you don't see reality clearly and only see the reflection that you want, this like bigged up egotistical idea of yourself, I'm really going for this mirror metaphor, I know, but it works. If you fully believe the image that you're projecting, you buy into that, and you have a self-narrative that you were always the victim, nobly fighting oppression, then you will be unable to see when you are the one wielding power against someone else, because it doesn't fit with the illusion you have of yourself, and unwarranted attacks on someone else will always be seen in your own eyes as an act of powerful speaking your truth to defend yourself, and whoops, now you've become the aggressor. Like, if Cynthia had said a genuine apology, I would let this go, but she didn't. She just made some vague statement about, you know, again, making it all about her, and saying she should have checked with her friends first before posting, and how she was just hurt or something like that. And it's like, I'm just sick of it. Like, oh no, Cynthia's playing the victim and crying over nothing again. That's now the reaction I have to her emotional meltdowns over The Wizard of Oz. Because it's silly. And maybe they both genuinely need help. I wouldn't be surprised. Both of them seem pretty unstable.
In what ways the person sitting next to you changed you for good?
Oh my gosh.
Well, yeah.
Like, people have mentioned them being, and this is just people on the internet, this is a common narrative I saw. One theory that people had was that Cynthia and Ariana have an ED, and, you know, because they've both lost a lot of weight recently, like a lot, both before and after Wicked. And some people have drawn comparisons said with their own experiences of having an ED, and then connecting with another friend who has an ED, and you're both feeding into each other's ED, and enabling the not eating, and it becomes a toxic, weirdly over-emotional, kind of unhinged, detached from reality, traumatic relationship, which I would not be surprised, and who knows, I don't know. That's just, someone pulled that out of their arse and put that on the internet, but would I be surprised? No. But whatever that is happening, there's something really weird going on with those two.
What I've really enjoyed in this process is the way in which people have been celebrating friendship, but, you know, I think we can be vocal about that it's okay, that it's wonderful when you see women celebrating women being friends, loving each other, that let's not doubt it first, let's celebrate it, you know, let's not immediately believe that it isn't real. Maybe let's just welcome it and hope that there's more of it.
I would say that I just hope that people can become more empathetic. This is a story about love and about seeing things a different way and leading with empathy and trying to see the humanness and the complexity that we all have and lead with love, and to stop being, you know, the bad guys that Wicked is about.
This is toxic positivity. I don't think it's genuine. I think it's to deflect any criticism at them, including videos like this one, where no one is allowed to question their obvious performative inauthenticity, or else be labelled a meanie, a big meanie, like the bad guys in Wicked. You guys do realise that Wicked isn't real. You're not actually in Wicked. You're not actually Elphaba and Glinda. And people who have a problem with you are not actually the bad guys in The Wizard of Oz. Do we understand? Can we grow up? Simultaneously, as implying that anyone who uses criticism or questions their authenticity is like the bad guys in a fantasy film. Simultaneously, they get to imply that they're like the main characters in Wicked, filled with empathy and understanding and love, doing so much good for the world. It is narcissism dressed up as compassion. We're allowed to criticise LA weirdos for putting themselves on a pedestal and acting like they're suffering martyrs saving the world with their movie. A movie which pays them very well and gives them a lifestyle filled with luxuries most people on this planet could only dream of, I might add. So yes, actually, a trade of that is that we get to comment our opinions on how unbearable it is to watch two Hollywood celebrities dissolving into performative tears every chance they get, and we're supposed to, what? Fall at their feet like the other children of the corn and tell them how special and beautiful on the inside and precious little souls they are? Because that's what they want. They're not asking for no commentary. They're not asking for that. They want people to comment. They just want favourable commentary. They just want unquestioning adoration. Sorry, that's not how it works. People are allowed to say if you're being ridiculous, and that doesn't make them mean. And people can say if you're being hypocritical, because Cynthia got to bully a fan off the internet and comment and criticise their intentions. Isn't that interesting? Cynthia gets to criticise their intentions, how they've erased her, or whatever the hell, like stupid, other over-the-top, hysterical, dramatic, ridiculous thing she said. She gets to do that and put them on blast publicly with her huge platform. And criticise their, what's going on in their mind and know they've meant it with bad intent or whatever the hell. But we can't criticise her and Ariana, or we're the baddies. How dare we criticise Thing 1 and Thing 2 and their bizarre telepathic connection and dare to suggest that it might be something other than a real friendship. I just find just quite a common theme, not always, but a lot of the time, that most people who claim to be anti-criticism and, I'm all for empathy and total tolerance with no exceptions, a lot of those people often turn out to not live by their own standards or to be using that as a shield to deflect from their own shitty behaviour. I don't know, like why could Ariana be publicly all for empathy and not criticising anyone and not wanting herself to be criticised? Oh, I don't know, could it have anything to do with her track record of stealing other people's husbands? No, you can't say that because that's mean. She's never done nothing wrong. And I get it, like Ariana, in a lot of interviews, she comes across as very adorable and sweet, but she also goes after people's husbands. They're just attention-seeking, self-interested celebrities in love with their own reflection.
And I think in today's society, there's a comfortability that we shouldn't have at all. Commenting on others' looks, appearance, what they think is going on behind the scenes, or health, or how they present themselves. There's a comfortability that people have commenting on that I think is really dangerous. And I think it's dangerous for all parties involved. To just know and trust that I'm beautiful, thank you, and so are you, so are you. But I do know what the pressure of that noise feels like. It's been a resident in my life since I was 17. And however you all can protect yourselves from that noise, whether it's at a family reunion or online, if you gotta block people, I don't care. If you have to delete the app entirely, you keep yourself safe, because no one has the right to say shit.
You know why it's so galling? It literally sounds like two Hunger Games elite weirdos from the Capitol telling the plebs that we're not allowed to mock them. We are. We are allowed to mock you. And it doesn't make us the bad guys. It really doesn't. Mockery throughout history has always been the thing that has kept the powerful people in check. Can it go too far? Of course it can. Has it in this case? No, I think the public have just given these two a much needed reality check. And they're just laughing and like, guys, this is ridiculous, chill out. Like, that's what most people are saying. And then just doing light-hearted piss takes parody videos of how silly they are. Or rather, they've tried to give them a reality check. I don't think it's really working.
So what did you have for lunch on set filming Wicked?
Wow. I love you. Yes, yes, yes. Salad, chicken Caesar wrap.
But I think the problem is that Ariana and Cynthia, they don't think that their society is most privileged and powerful, and that's the problem. But they are. They're living a life and have a platform that most people on this planet will never come near to, can never dream of. But yeah, I think that whole thing of like, if you don't criticise, don't be mean, or people just don't believe, blah, 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 all of that, I think it's just a control tactic disguised as empathy. They're behaving genuinely like kings wanting to be adored, worship, grovel at and kiss their feet like every other Wicked interviewer. Dare to go against them, even accidentally? Well, Cynthia will bully you on Instagram while proclaiming her own virtue. It's genuinely gross, and that is why it's rubbing people the wrong way, not just because they're annoying and weird, even though yes, they also are obviously that. They have totally fallen in love with this false performative image of themselves they want to project to the world, and, like Narcissus, have made the mistake of thinking it is real and who they truly are. They've fallen in love with an illusion and cannot bear any criticism that threatens this flawless image. Obsessing about yourself, your identity, and who you want to be seen as to this extent is dangerous. That's a key element of the Narcissus myth. What he fell in love with was, quite literally, surface level on the pool. An illusion, nothing real of substance, just a pretty reflection. I think why I really hate it is because people taking themselves too seriously really winds me up. That's not to say that people should never take things seriously or treat things with importance, but when it's unwarranted levels of self-congratulatory preening over something that really people should have a little more humility about, that's annoying. I just always appreciate when people have humility over things. Just a touch of self-deprecation. And look, maybe that's a cynical English woman in me, but I read excessive earnestness and praise as inauthentic. I doubt. And yes, actually, Ariana and Cynthia, people are allowed to criticize you for not having enough humility, and that doesn't make us the villains from Wicked. You're the villains, not in an evil sense, but in an ignorant rich person from the Hunger Games who thinks they're so important they're beyond mockery despite their own ridiculousness and stupid tiny hats sense. Sometimes it's important to laugh at yourself and take a step back from your throne of hubris and recognise that no matter how talented you are and how good a performance you gave and how much the source material meant to you, at the end of the day, sometimes a movie is just a bloody movie.
Like, relax. Don't get it twisted. It's just a movie. It ain't that big a deal.
You can still be moved by the source material and speak respectfully about the work you do and be a fantastic performer while still maintaining a very healthy, grounded attitude about what you do. That's why I think Denzel Washington's attitude is great and really healthy. He's taking his career and what he does seriously, but not arrogantly. He values what he does, but does not worship it. And therein lies the difference. That's someone who has a strong sense of identity beyond this false image that they're projecting to the world. Or at least that's the impression he gives. When you base your identity on something as flimsy and changeable as that and are desperate for it to be seen as perfect, that's when you get fragile egos and aversions to criticism and meltdowns over movie posters. Because for you, it's an attack on who you are. I think a very relevant current example of celebrity vanity is the Blake Lively situation. So court case aside, there's a whole thing going on there, which personally, who knows, we won't know until it all comes out, but as of just right now, I'm leaning towards her being in the wrong. I saw the clip that she described in her lawsuit, and in my opinion, from watching the clip and seeing how Blake Lively described it, I'm quite shocked at how much, in my opinion, she misrepresented what happened in that clip. Maybe she has other evidence up her sleeve. That'll be the thing, that if she doesn't have any other evidence, I'm so not convinced by her. If she does, that'll be the thing that does it, but as of now, what she said, like from watching, I just think it's actually outrageous how she then try to present that and rewrite the narrative on that and how it actually went down. When you see the clip, it's like, okay, I think it was just, yeah. But anyway, that aside, that's not what this video is about. That aside, the reason she faced such huge public backlash was not because of a manufactured smear campaign. Even if there was such a smear campaign, which, who knows, maybe she will somehow prove. I doubt, but maybe she'll prove that. But even that aside, I don't believe they'd have been able to run that smear campaign if not for her own ridiculous choices and behaviour. They didn't make her say what she said in those videos. They didn't make her promote her own products during the press tour for this movie. They didn't make her talk endlessly about the fashion and her clothes and Gigi Hadid and Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds and Gigi's my best friend and these boots, they're thousands of dollars and blah blah. No one made her do that. No one made her be mean to that interviewer. The main reason Blake Lively faced backlash was because of vanity. When you make the whole world yourself, like Blake Lively's It Ends With Us press tour, which was all about her, it wasn't about the film, wasn't about the themes, or really even about anyone else who worked on the movie. Like I mentioned in the video I did on her at the time, before this whole lawsuit came out, but before that, it was all very much me, my clothes, my husband, my outfits, my friend Taylor, my friend Gigi, and my designer boots and my rings, and by the way, I'm shy. So no one believes. And I designed the costumes for this movie. Did you hear about my husband's film? And my product, and Betty Buzz, and Blake Brown, and me, and me, and I, and me, and I. To be clear, I'm not calling her a narcissist. Who knows? But what I am saying, if we go by the ancient myth, is that I would say this is an example of somebody who views the superficial image they project to the world above all else, including the movie about DV. Like vanity in the sense of being self-obsessed, having an inflated sense of your own importance. Your fashion sense, for example, being more important above issues like DV, or being hired as an actress because that's your job, and despite having little to no experience in other areas of filmmaking, thinking you can come on a film and know better than professionals hired for the job. Costume designers, scriptwriters, directors, and arrogantly think you can do their job better than they can. And you know, there is the narrative that she's so in love with her image, can't stand the insult to it, and can't take the valid criticism, so came out with a lawsuit because of the blow to her image. But who knows, maybe she's got something there, she might have something there, we'll find out. But I think Blake Lively, like all celebrities, is very used to having her image constantly reflected back at her from the world. And up till now, she's one of the celebrities who has largely been reflective positively and had adoration back from an adoring public. So what happens when suddenly that reflection is giving you a highly negative image of yourself that you don't like? That beautiful reflection you can stare into and adore and believe yourself wonderful. Suddenly the public aren't saying it anymore. They're saying you're a bully, you're arrogant, dishonest, bad at fashion, untalented, obnoxious, the list goes on. That's likely got to change the very foundation of how you see yourself. I think that's my theory. A lot of celebrities can get addicted at staring at their own reflection, but not a literal reflection, but the reflection of public perception shaping how they see themselves. You see yourself on magazine covers, on the red carpet, on the silver screen, you have people screaming your name and everyone telling you how amazing and wonderful you are. And if you stare at this too long, you become too obsessed with it. You can get drunk on it and believe your own press, believe the false reflection is real, lose your sense of who you are beyond the projection, and that's when you become one of those superficial, self-obsessed, arrogant pricks that celebrities get stereotyped as. I think it also makes you hypercritical in a way and then really sensitive to criticism, because you're like looking at yourself like, am I perfect, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video. This is just my opinion, but I do think Blake's whole press tour for the movie was just a display of how wonderful she wanted to come across as and center herself in the whole conversation and be queen for a day. And then, when the public weren't feeding her back that image of herself she so desperately wanted to see, she couldn't believe the opinions were valid or genuine, and thus never apologised, played the victim, and blamed someone else so her perfect reflection could remain intact. The mirror is just broken, my reflection isn't wrong. I can categorically say that even if Baldoni's side did run a smear campaign, I formed my own opinion about Blake from watching hours of footage and interviews and videos of her, from watching her conduct herself while promoting a topic that wasn't supposed to be all about her, as I discussed in the video I did at the time. Unless the videos were AI generated, my point still stands. Self-obsession harms yourself most of all, first and foremost. That's the warning in the tale of Narcissus. He never reached old age, never grew up and had a fulfilled life, never even forged his own identity. He was too obsessed with youth and beauty. Like the prophecy said, he'd reach old age as long as he never saw himself. You could symbolically interpret that to mean, don't get obsessed with the superficial if you want a full life. And you're obsessed with something not real. Narcissus's reflection was something he could not touch, could not connect with, could not love, could not offer companionship or meaning. It was nothing but light reflecting on water, an illusion. He turned away real human connection for this meaningless image. He died alone and devoid of love and meaning. And that's what happens when you obsess over all these superficial things generally associated with celebrity culture. When you perform emotion and trick yourself into believing it's real, how do you connect with your genuine feelings anymore? How can you connect to anything still authentic within yourself? When your self-worth is largely defined by what the public thinks of you, and that's the reflection of you care about. Public reactions are like an immediate yet warped reflection. That's the public kind of feedback loop. And maybe Cynthia and Ariana are kind of trying to embody the energy people are putting out, matching that theatre kid hysterical over-the-top energy of wicked, it's amazing. Okay, calm down. Maybe they're just trying to match that, I don't know. But yeah, and then you have the Cynthia tantrum when she took something personally when it wasn't personal. So what happens when you make it all about you? Living their lives dependent totally on how others see them. Maybe they don't know who they are anymore. And they come across like creepy possessed corn children. Staring at your own reflection will make you crazy. But unfortunately, that's also often the way to become successful as a celebrity. I talked about that in my video on Ariana Grande. The projected image is essential to building a brand. But where does the image end and you begin? And I do have sympathy for that. Like knowing that you're being observed and being too concerned with how you're coming across, whether that's physically or otherwise, is a never-ending spiral. It won't end. It's not healthy to spend too much time thinking about yourself. It's really not. Why do you think so many celebrities and social media influencers are so messed up? Like, I think it can be really important for your mental well-being to recognise that you're not that important. It takes a lot of pressure off. Now, that's not to say you go too far the other way. I'm not saying that. Like, self-worth and self-love is good, and your identity and thinking about yourself sometimes, of course. I just mean that you're not center of the universe important. You're important in the way every human being is important. No more, no less. I love that quote from an old Doctor Who Christmas special before the show got crap that I think sums up what I'm trying to say.
Who's she? Nobody important. Nobody important. Blimey, that's amazing. Do you know, in 900 years of time and space, I've never met anyone who wasn't important before.
I like that quote. It might seem kind of counterintuitive to what I'm trying to say, but I don't think it is really. It's kind of knowing that you're valuable without being the most valuable person in existence, and that you're valuable based on who you really are as opposed to a performative image you might want to present to the world. And you don't have to weirdly compete or convince people that you're valuable. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys don't mind the new format. I don't know if you'll have noticed, it's slightly different. So I didn't script as much of this. Parts in the middle I didn't script. But yeah, it means I can get more videos out for you because I've kind of been wanting to change the videos slightly. I think my videos really, I'm spending way too much time scripting them and editing them, and they're getting quite long. And I know I have a tendency to be repetitive sometimes and too long videos, so let's see how this goes. I was just spending way too much time on doing the videos and I lost the joy and motivation in it. So I'm aiming to keep the same spirit and feel of the videos, just shorter and less obsessive. More relaxed, and hopefully, there'll be more videos because this one's been a lot quicker to script. Yeah, and it means I'll be able to do more videos on more stuff I'm interested in. Thank you for joining the musings of myself and Asis. Let us know what you think. We would love to hear your thoughts, and if there's anything in this video that you didn't like or agree with, that part was Asis's idea, so please contact him directly with your complaints.